Name a bigger red flag than a white guy with a podcast. I'll wait.
I am not impressed. I will have you know, I'm like 80% white. The podcast is goddamn good, and I don't want you anyway. You got random Iroquois art and not art on your walls. You're not my type, sir. Or madam. I don't know, you allowed to say any more?
'79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take one.
I keep thinking back to that podcast, Isaac, right? It's in my community thing. Go check it out. It was just, he had like the most vibrant Hawaiian shirt you've ever seen, ever. And he just had the most somber, dour face. He looked like he had just like got off of a meth. And I don't know. I keep thinking about it, like from a creative standpoint. I'm like, dude, the juxtaposition there, like if he leaned in on it, it would just be wonderful. It's like, I mean, I guess it's a bit derivative. The guy, the clown, the pin, what's that stupid thing about? Watchmen had it with the clown. Oh, you should go watch Pinchetto the Clown. The doctor's like, it'll cheer you right up. He goes, but doctor, I am the clown. Hello from Spit. Oh, from Split. Welcome. Are you in the palace? Or are you just like chilling on the outskirts there? Lovely country, by the way. For Europe, it looks like a jungle. Looks like a jungle. Oh, we're gonna have fun. I mean, I'm gonna have fun. You might have fun. I hope you have something better to do than listen to me. But if you're here, whatever. I can't judge you. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday in fall. Maybe you're like, it's my day to sit here and do nothing but watch Saturday morning cartoons. Oh, they don't have those anymore. Why not? Oh, they do, by the way. So if you're ever like, I'm tired of this fucking red pill stuff, I really am. Here's what you do. You go to the Hasbro YouTube channel, and they have G.I. Joe nonstop. There's other channel, Orbital Bacon. They will just have like random Saturday morning cartoon shit going. And I think there's one for the Ninja Turtles as well. Who'da thunk? Have you been to Croatia outside of ports? Well, I mean, yeah, you leave the port. That's the first thing you do. It's the first thing I learned as a sailor is that you leave the 6-mile bubble so you never see anybody else. You live off the economy as long as you can. But no, I haven't been there on a civilian vacation, if that's what you're wondering. It's due, though. We're actually starting to travel a little bit more. I had to get all the friends and family trips out of the way. Visit the brother, visit the parents, visit the other parents. Yeah, G.I. Joe, Transformers on repeat. You get to watch the old series. It's like my Orion channel. It really does. Like, they just don't make stuff like that anymore, man. They don't make stuff like that anymore, and there's a reason.
Do you like kung fu? Do you like hardcore action, big explosions, and 7-foot-tall aliens? How about a gritty crime drama or a buddy cop movie? Do you want witty one-liners, laser guns, a double cross, gratuitous nudity for no reason other than it's awesome? 80s karate fights, fast car chases, and 90 minutes of a great time? Well, I have 4 words for you. I come in peace.
Yeah, they don't make them anymore. Because if I remember correctly, and my history should be good on this one. We'll get to the topic. Just 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Let's have 5 minutes of fun first. Reagan had taken over. It was the giant. What's the conservatives for America? Red wave. The red wave had taken over America. The greatest speech in the history was "It's dawn in America." That was like, ask your Gen X dad or whatever, or your brother, older brother. He'll tell you it's dawn in America, or it's morning in America. And he had this whole thing like, we want to go back to the 50s, back when you weren't allowed to cuss on TV. The 70s were all depressing and dour. It was all deconstructive. Easy Rider was like the biggest movie. And what was the ending to that movie? 2 rednecks just shot Dennis Hopper, and they're like, yeah, it sounds like a good ending. They're like, no, we're not doing that anymore. And cartoons were now a thing. And they're like, yeah, you can't just be showing cartoons. We're trying to make wholesome. We're trying to help people up. And that's where those PSAs, the more you know, started up. Because they're like, yeah, we just shot terrorists for 20 minutes. But hey, eat your Wheaties, do your homework. Don't do crack. If you wanted to get a cartoon approved in 1980, just put don't eat crack at the end of it. And they're like, yeah, you're in. It's good. Because there was also some changes in advertising. You weren't allowed to advertise to kids. You weren't say, hey, kids, harass your parents and they'll buy you a new toy. And they're like, yeah, you can't do that. Kids are stupid. Stop advertising them. They're like, fine. We'll make a 22-minute advertisement. We'll call it a TV show. And so that's why Transformers and G.I. Joe and all this stuff was there, because we need to sell toys. And that's how the Ninja Turtles got their start. They were like, hey, they spotted it like a grift. And then now that all of that marketing is way less sophisticated than what we have now, it's got like a quaint stylistic vibe to it, which is just awesome. Just awesome. Krusty's commercials, get your parents' credit card. Yeah, they used to have that because they did some studies back in the day finding that, like, if you nagged your parents for 3 minutes or something like that, the chances of them buying the whatever increased. So they had to figure out how could I train kids to nag their parents for the exact amount of time to buy more shit. The answer was sugary cereal. So yeah, but then those days aren't coming back anymore. So they're like, yeah, we can't do that. That's horribly evil. Instead, let's troon the kids. And they're like, that's much better. This is why I always laugh too at the guys. It used to be so much better back in the day. Did it? I distinctly remember we had a pretty big terrorist problem in the 80s. The Iran-Contra thing was a big deal. The Midwest turned into the Rust Belt. It used to be just the Metal Belt, and then it was the Rust Belt. So it was never better. It was just different, worse. And part of it was like you were a kid, and so you don't remember a lot of the bad stuff. But luckily enough, there's some lady recorded 2,700 hours of TV from the 80s. I've been binging that on the Internet Archive. I'm like, oh my God. I even downloaded 6 hours of network programming from 1981. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I haven't seen this stuff since I was in the womb. Anyways, to it. So what are we talking about? If you've seen the thumbnail, and if you haven't seen the thumbnail, it's going to be a bit of a surprise. You saw, it's like just a bunch of tweets. It's not my usual augmented AI thing. It's not photos. It's not any graphic design. It's just three tweets. 3 tweets posted together, and the one was a confession from a man, another one is advice from a man, and the third one was something shitposty. I can't remember what, but whatever. And that's what we're going to talk about, because it's all fun and games. The red pill stuff is nice, and it's really nice to say, oh, we're helping men and blah blah blah. Every now and then you got to pull your inner misogynist out, right? You got to pull your inner misogynist, and it's so worth, and you get to be. I even had somebody yesterday when we get into it. It's like, you used to be the most sober and moderate one in the red pill. You've changed. And I'm like, I haven't changed. I haven't changed anything. I just don't act like a dick if I don't have to. I don't know what to tell you. It's sorry that your golden calf got fucking nuked. I'm not moderate because I think that they've gone too far. I'm moderate because I think they're autistic and deliver things horribly. And half the time people just say things to piss others off. I'm not trying to piss you off. You're pissing yourself off. I didn't invite you to my rants. Anyway. Oh, you know what? We're going to go hard on the Orion stuff today. Why not?
Now, Mr. Do you love science fiction but hate how it's not masculine enough? Do you yearn for those simple, timeless stories? Stories that resonate with something deep in your soul?
What the
Stories. Perfectly told. A movie that doesn't have to keep your attention with giant explosions, sarcastic banter, gratuitous nudity for no reason other than it's awesome. A movie that will make you tear up so much that you have to pretend it's lame and laugh so that your friends don't think you are a sissy. Well, I have the movie for you. We bring you the greatest movie that aged like a fine Romulan ale. It's the movie where Moby Dick meets Charles Dickens, meets the duelists, meets a science fiction western, meets our own awareness of our mortality. In Star Trek II, The Wrath The Wrath of Khan.
That's Channel Orion 2. Rambo 3 is coming out shortly. It turns out a couple things. I guess we'll get little previews. Something I didn't know until the research of the video. I thought it was the most popular of all the Rambo films. It sure was the second best written, acted, budget. It was the biggest budgeted one, at least at the time. There's only 3 Rambo films, by the way. But it turns out it wasn't even the best in the box office. First Blood Part 2, Rambo, did way better in the box office. It made $300 million off of like a $18 million budget, and Rambo 3 made $180 million off of a $60 million budget. So it still tripled its investment, but it wasn't nearly as good, which is crazy because if you go back and watch Rambo 2, you're like, what in the how did this make $300 million? Dude, there's Marvel movies that cost $1 billion to make that don't make that. It's insane. And then I also remember, oh right, this is during the Orion years, back when American Ninja was like the top box office selling film. And if you watch it, it's like a teenage melodrama with just enough ninja action as if it was written by an 8-year-old. It's weird because I was like, should I do this one? And I was kind of looking at the list and I was watching and I'm like it fits, but it's not as awesome as it needs to be. It's no king of the kickboxers. And I saw that Bond stuff showed up. I probably won't do Bond because everybody does Bond, but anyways, so the topic is whamen. Whamen. It all started here. I got my little note sinks here because I want to quote this thing properly. If I don't do it proper quoting, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of F-bombs in and screw it up. So it all originally started with some random nobody. Where did he go? Scott Tyler. Scott J. Tyler, 89. My first is 8 weeks old. I can see why men cheat at this time. My wife completely ignored my existence for the first few weeks, and we had to have arguments to get her to even acknowledge me, not to mention be intimate. That's the biggest challenge. Baby is easy. Somebody lets out a little dark thought, a little frustration, vents it on the internet. Normally from some first name, bunch of numbers account, you're like, okay. One more person yelling into the void. You wouldn't think much of it, but oh boy. Somebody at the Oprah Book Club pulled the alarm. The air raid siren went on. Every traditional conservative women put down their wine, grabbed their cell phones, and went to war. It was the Horn of Gondor for middle-aged soccer moms, and they were here for it. This is what we train for. They got fucking mad. How dare you, you motherfucker. Talk about cheating. It's never okay to cheat, you son of a bitch. Even there's like people that had nothing to do with this. Like Catherine D. Love her to death. Awesome. She's got like this quirky internet rabbit hole vibe and theme to all of her content. I think it's great. Even she was like, bro, what the fuck? You know something's up when people like break branding to shit on some random nobody. You could almost like, it wasn't astroturfed, but if it was, would it look any different? I was like, holy shit. And they're getting mad. And then of course the fresh and fit red pill guys start getting in on it. And I'm like, this is like, it's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous on both ends. The first side is women just collectively dogpiling this guy. He eventually deleted his account. And here's the funny part too. So somebody had, obviously, like the first thing you do when you've annoyed a woman is somebody has to try and dox you. Let me find the pictures of his family so I can harass them. Or no, they don't even want to harass you. They want to get other people to do it. So they just post it everywhere. Here's his address, his family. Here's your dox dossier. Have fun. Have at her, boys. And I guess they found that his profile picture was on some grinder or something like that, there's a few different ways you can interpret this. I don't know which one is true. It doesn't really matter though, because it's more so about, it's not about the fakeness of the situation. It's about how it resonates with the audience. I find that's the important part. That's like, I call that the reality, the Donovan Sharp rule. Well, it doesn't matter if it's fake. You reacted to it, so you clearly care. Mentioning that because he used to watch like Love is Blind all the time and then do like red-pilled hot takes on it all day. And my girl's like, why don't you do this? I'm like, you trust me, you don't want me to. It's ridiculous. Anyway. So one take is that for some reason, sex-negative, traditional conservative stay-at-home wives have beard husbands who are out there looking for boy ass. Possible. Likely. I prefer that one myself because it's fucking hilarious. Traditional conservative women that hate sex and their masculine husbands that hate women. It's like it's a match made in heaven. Alternatively, he could have made just some random Abby out of this thing here, just made it up, whatever. Just pick some random photo, do this thing here. Did some like Redditor, am I the asshole? Invent some fan fiction thing. Also possible. The only reason I doubt that one is because it was really fucking good. Almost all of these fake ass Reddit-ish am I the asshole stories, they tend to, like, there's something about it. It hits the marks too perfectly where you're like, okay, they're trying to lead me down this path, and you can kind of feel it being manipulative, and you're like, yeah, it's not real. This one had none of that. None of that. Alternatively, some chick wrote this down after her husband did it to her, made that goofy account, also made the doxy thing, did it as a big attention thing. Maybe. Like I said, I prefer to believe in the TradCon beard husband. This is my 9/11 steel beams. Building 7 was a controlled demolition. The man was definitely a beard. But that's not the point of this. This part's just the drama. This is what they call in the business a hook. What's a hook? A hook is what hooks you. Well, now I gotta know more. Gay guy, angry at his wife, understands cheating? Tell me more, sir. All right, here's the boring C-SPAN stuff. You have to be an asshole. Whisper, great post. Yes, Virginia, you have to be an asshole. And I can actually, I've referenced this one so much, I can almost remember it word for word. It's not a difficult thing, but it was, if you're sitting here and you'll get, like, the questions used to be bleeding about, this stuff never works, you guys are evil incels and misogynist, and then it switched over to this other thing, and now the bleeding and prattle has taken the effect of, yeah, I get it, this stuff works, positive male experience, male sexual strategy, I get that. But do you have to be so mean about it? Couldn't you just tone it down a little bit, make it not so acrimonious? And of course, because you're a good person, I'm a good person, you're not an asshole, I'm not an asshole, and you don't want to be an asshole. So you're thinking, no. Forget about all that anger stuff. It's not about that. It's about me making myself into the best version of myself. The best version of me. Stop that. Stop that. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be an asshole. When she comes up with this emotional prattle, you're supposed to sit here and agree and amplify it. Don't care, got laid. That's where don't care, got laid come from, by the way. Don't care, got laid. Or any other example of some Royce-esque quote saying you just don't give a shit about this entire argument. You know why? Because you're ultimately falling for a failed premise. The idea that, like, society today is treating men so bad, and it's some modern thing, and feminists did it, and the Jews did it, and all that. Like, no. It's not that case. It's not a bug, it's a feature. We as a species would not have survived if women weren't ruthless opportunists and men weren't sacrificial fodder. We just wouldn't. You could lose 90% of your extended family in some monkey raid into some pygmy tribe and still survive as a tribe. As long as a couple guys were there to knock up all the women. But you start throwing the women at the front lines, if the pygmies stole all your chicks, you're done. So this doesn't work unless men are sacrificing themselves en masse. Worked really great when you're hunters and gatherers. Worked pretty good when you guys were agricultural, remnants, farmers and serfs and fiefs and all that shit. Doesn't work so well during an industrial revolution, an information economy, ultimate abundance, and 8 billion people. There's just too many of you. It's like the Warhammer themes of the hive cities and the how many people they have to give 1,000 souls to the emperor. They are grinding people into Soylent Green just to feed the armies. Like, nobody's life matters. And so when you're in this level of abundance, those genetic instincts, they don't matter anymore. Male sacrifice is not going to protect the human race. In fact, if anything, it's now a detriment. Too much of a good thing. I wish I could remember the scientist's name. The name eludes me right now, but I did write a thing in Frame about the oak. Remember that? The oak? The story about the oak? And it was a study of survivalist here. We're going to get back to the post in a sec. We're a little digression before we start talking about fucking whamen again. And he was mentioning how they built a biodome, they put an ecosystem in there, but the trees kept just falling over and breaking. And it turns out the reason why is because there was no wind. If there's no wind constantly trying to buffet the tree doesn't spend any of its energy building these cross something or other. It was a type of collagen it uses to strengthen itself from wind. And since it didn't have to spend energy on that, it grew big, it grew tall, but then as soon as it started to weigh something, it would just fall over from its own weight. It had no strength to it, right? And then from survival size, you can't look at it like linear is better. Like water is a life-saving thing, more water is good. It's not really that way. It's no water is bad. Too much water is bad. So you'll either drown or you'll dehydrate or you'll drown. So there's a butter zone of water that's good for human life. And it's the same with everything. Same with everything survival. That's why we're not an autistic. That's why you don't take things linearly or autistically. Because too much of anything is bad. Too little of anything is bad. There's always a zone that you want to be in. Work it out, be fit, look great, awesome. But if it's at the expense of your social life, not awesome. If you end up like Zizix or Liver King to the point that you're so jacked and shredded that your liver is conking out on you and your heart's about to explode, not good. So yeah, the 7 out of 10 bod. 7 out of 10. Dad bod, technically. Which, I mean, I'm not even sure what that means anymore. Dad bod used to mean like that 70s body, like the skinny fat guy. But then Americans kind of turned it into a big fucking fat dude. But then women turned it into, what's his face from Mad Men? Where it's basically a jacked guy, but not on steroids. As long as he was 15% body fat. Like, he's over 10% body fat, but still shredded. And you're like, whatever. I don't know. 7 out of 10. Fill in the blanks with whatever you want. Yeah, it's the literal definition of toxic. Too much, exactly. Anyway, so back to this. So yeah, you're supposed to be an asshole. Because the idea that feminists or the society today or whatever has caused all this stuff, it's complete falsity. It's always been this way. And so when people talk about, do you have to be so toxic? Do you have to be so acrimonious? Do you have to be so much of an asshole? Well, the meaning of asshole is what's important here. Asshole is not you being mean or misogynist or anything like that. It's just you looking out for your own interests before that of not even your woman, all women, is going to be considered heinous. Absolutely heinous. It's vilified. It's evil. It's something in our DNA that we all feel, and that's why men and women both hate when people do it. So yeah. And a lot of the red pill stuff you see here, it's not anything new. For the most part, it's just learning which instincts you have are beneficial versus which instincts you have are not beneficial. I'm getting to that, X-Runner. I say your thing. Are not beneficial. And then choosing to leverage the instincts you have that are beneficial and finding ways to work around the instincts you have that are not beneficial. Mr. Dix himself. Marty's in the chat. It's good to see. So yeah, so the next time somebody asks you, do you have to be such a misogynist? Do you have to be so toxic? It's just to say, I don't give a fuck. And I could bring up right now, like Chateau Artistes, the unbearable traitness of hating. And I will, because I just realized like that would be a perfect segue for it. Perfect segue.
So I used to be a pretty strong feminist. I've actually become a feminist again. Feminists, though, can be some of the worst people you'll ever meet. They can be like some of the most nasty. They'll take advantage of contradictory world values, right? Worldview, which is that like I'm talking about like psychology and mental health for men, and yet I'm in a field that like is overly feminized and shoving drugs down men's throat. And I'm like, and I'm still recommending it because I don't want to lose like the baby out with the bathwater. Just because not all therapists are well trained to work with men. Just because a lot of therapists might even be biased against particularly like incel type men. If they hear misogynistic language at all, they might like shut you down. So and it was just difficult because I didn't want to be like super like nasty and mean or anything.
The funniest thing is I don't particularly feel one way or another very strongly about that bitch. Or, I mean, sorry, that woman. She's from Edmonton, so I should be nicer. Hometown friends. But it's just like, you take all of the worst qualities of Destiny and put them in like a mid with inflated expectations. It just rubs me the wrong way, you know? Anyways, so the unbearable traitness of hating. And this is one of those things I think everybody should read at some point. You're like, oh, I'm red pill this, I'm red pill that. If you haven't read this, because if you start talking in this space at all, you're gonna get shit on. You just will. It comes with the territory. It's not a very attractive space. Most people in here are fucking retards. And even the best well-worded, tone-policed, red-pilled mental models will be taken poorly, if not through illiteracy and emotionalism, but through accurately understanding what you're talking about. And so back in 2010, 14 years ago, can you believe this? 14 fucking years ago. And it's still providing like ample examples today. After 3 years of doing this block, that means since 2007, we were still bombing Iraqis back then. That's how long ago we're talking about here. A wearisome predictability in type of hates become apparent. The unoriginal uniformity of the hate is the most intriguing feature, as it makes one wonder whether humans come pre-installed with mindware that executes in scripted patterns when certain sensitive buttons are pushed, or if the haters all gather in a secret hate-sonic temple under the Capitol building to agree upon an approved suite of category hateration. Some of his wordsmithing, you got to give Royce credit. He can string a sentence together. You can see how like BAP and Delicious Tacos kind of got their start just being commenters under here. It is just fascinating. In the interest of advancing a sociological experiment for the benefit of my amusement alone, I've made a compendium of the typical incantations of hate directed at game and those of us, like your humble narrator, who preach the good word of game. Below each hate archetype, I've helpfully included my mischievously glib responses to indicate the empty-handedness of the hate. And like, see right there, that's exactly what you need. Just don't care. Don't care. Whatever. I don't care. The first one, bitter beta hate. You know, you're a bitter misogynist. Translation, your words make me weep from every pore. Expectation bias hate. No one who writes these horrible things about women could possibly be in a relationship or do well. You know, back in Genghis Khan days, haters were known to remark, no one who crushes as many enemies as you could possibly do well with women. Moving the goalposts. A real man would be married and raising a children as his legacy, you know. Typical, as he calls it, the alphaness, or the value of a man required to marry a typical girl and knock her up, minimal. The value required to avoid the raw deal of marriage and the fun hindering ballast of children while enjoying the love of many women in long-term relationships, sniff my jockstrap. Straw hate, where they start arguing about alphas and wolves and shit like that. And I always love his answer here. It's like, what part of dregs, lesser omega to greater omega to lesser beta to greater beta to lesser alpha to super alpha don't you understand? It's a simple process. Let me just look at the corkboard. Entomology hate. Your definition of alpha is false. In the animal kingdom, it's the leader of the pack, not a bad boy who pumps and dumps women. Like, isn't it just like a nerd to get hysterical over the appropriation of a narrow sense scientific term to conveniently illustrate broader truths about men and women? Unironic internet smear hate. Internet alphas are too busy meeting women to blog. It's like, yeah, because nobody has fucking hobbies. The political is personal. True alpha lives his life, does not neurotically obsess about his status on an internet blog. And even Royce is like, I don't write about my own status. And me too. It's like, what status? You want to be the most popular guy in the red pill or the man? Like, come on. Really? I'm the most popular garbage man on Garbageville. It's like, sure. If status is all you're worried about, my question is, why the fuck are you here? This is a horrible place for status. You're way better off, like, trooning out. At least then you'll get a Bud Light deal. Anyways, he's got a bunch of these ones. They're really good. Like, Game only works well on neurotic, low self-esteem women. He's like, yeah, and this is kind of, and the good point of all this is like a lot of this hate is fueled by false premises, you know? Inventing convenient scenarios, imagining the worst of your enemies, reinterpreting their successes as a salve for burned ego. And the best quote of this, I love this. There's two quotes in here I love, and this one here. Your thin-skinned indignation is not my moral crisis. The second quote's coming up a little later. That's good. You have an empty existence. You're not a leader of men. And then his face went, grape-de, grape, 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 grape. And this is my favorite quote. My favorite quote. When all you have is a desiccated, dusty muff, the whole world looks like an unwelcome phallus. I'm like, I've written 3 books. I'm writing 3 more. I wish I could put a sentence like that together. That thing is fucking art. Art. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. We'll get to the end of it. I don't really need to worry about the rest. It's all kind of there. I'm going to do some super chats, and then we're going to... Bishop? What the fuck? All right. Silver Bishop, thank you for your $5 super chat.
So the meme, they're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha
named Ryan Stone.
It says, ask Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline.
I am now concerned for my career.
And I still recommend
Clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just...
That's great. That's you should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
Can you believe this? What do you do for a living? Oh, let me show you. How could you sum up this ridiculous career in 30 seconds or less? I would just fuck you. God, I don't know how anybody could be depressed and angry and full of hate and all that. Come on. Look at this. Dude in a cuck chair made the funniest 30-second commercial spot in my life, all because of that. Oh, right, your super chat. It's like the old Queen song, too much love will kill you, and a heartfelt cucticle to you, coach. Yeah, heartfelt to you back, you son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Where am I going with this one? Oh, yeah, the married hate thing. So a lot of the hate was just misinterpreted, illiterate. Men should never do this, men never do that. And if you look down to it, what did he really do? He didn't do anything. He didn't cheat on his wife. He maybe had an argument saying, hey, we're married, why aren't we intimate together? To which she was yelling at him. And then we can have arguments about how far after the birth, postpartum, repair, healing, that kind of stuff. That's fine. That's not what this was about. It was just a chance to hate every guy in their life. I hate my asshole husband who's on Grindr and definitely not providing as well as I would like, because I deserve to be a princess. And what does a princess get? She doesn't have to work. You don't have to work. Yeah, but in a dress. But you have a dress on. Yeah, but this is a nicer dress. Well, that dress is pretty nice. Shut up. Why do you hate women? And you're fuck. And there was some really good gems in there too, because everybody has their own little take on it. And I was scouring through them, because every now and then somebody says something that I'm fuck, I wish I could write that well. This one guy brought up, it's this is how it always works. Women will take something like this and then they will make it complicated. And they talk, and the worst thing about the internet is that women can talk to each other, and then every woman takes every other woman's problems, makes them her own problems. And that's what I remember. Some of the chicks were talking about vaginal terrors and ripping, and all the horrible medical situations. And it's that same argument you get when people are talking about abortion. And I'm not getting political. I need it here as a parallel. All right. I need it as a parallel. Well, what about in cases of incest? And then you look at how many cases of needed abortions are because of incest or grape. And the answer's like 4. Out of 500 million abortions in however long, there's like 4 examples of that. And it's very easy to make an exception and not throw those chicks. Come on. But and then everybody's like, yeah, well, there's going to be a tear. It's like 8 weeks of recovery. You can't even poop because like your rectum is destroyed. First off, I know a lot of kinky chicks. You can destroy a rectum and it can still function. I'm just saying. But yeah. But then you realize, like, wow, we found every individual example of a rectal fracture. All 7 of them in the world right now, and have all come together to shit on this random grinder dude. I was like, Jesus. Hey, Nick in the chat. What are you doing this to me? You know my favorite part about that, what are you doing this to me? It's that it was like they're both on brand talking about branded stuff, and then she pokes fun at him on this, and then he like breaks character for me. He's like, what are you doing to me? But it wasn't like what are you doing? It was like, why are you doing this to me? Like, what did I ever do to you? The only time I've ever seen one of those was when Pearl was on Pierce Morgan, and he started shitting on her for talking about like the Holocaust stuff. And she's like, why would you be like this? I'm just a wee little 6-foot Mongoloid girl. And it was just funny because she's like, I don't get it. You're not supposed to be like this. I thought this was for funsies. Anyways, back to this. So yeah, all of them, all 7 of them around the world are all, well, somebody in the middle of the Congolese river valley had a rectal fracture. How dare you want to fuck your wife, you son of a bitch? And I realized, like, oh my God, this is fucking ridiculous. They all took that. Like, what's the worst case scenario? How can I make this about me? And if you really boil down to it, it's just a bunch of chicks who, Athol K used to call it being sex negative. Girls that just don't like sex. Why don't they like sex? There's a lot of reasons. Sometimes, actually, a lot of it is religious indoctrination. So it's not even, like, it's not her fault. Maybe. It's not the dog's fault he caught rabies either, but we're here. And it's not your responsibility to fix it. So here's my empathy branch. Do you have to be so acrimonious? No, I don't. Here's what happens. You go to church, and the priest there, he looks over and he's like, hey, I'm not even going to do like a priest diddling joke here. I think that's a little low-hanging fruit. But like, hey, do you know sex is wrong? Sex is evil. Don't have sex. If you ever have sex, you're going to burn in hell, and you're going to get AIDS. And you're going to die, and you're going to die in hell, and then you're going to have AIDS in hell for eternity. And it's like, you fucking, every kid, their pituitary gland and frontal lobe are starting to develop, and they got, like, there's the neural pathways for, like, sex equals bad for 20 years. And then finally, they get their college degree, and they find a man who goes to the right church and does all the right things, and then they get married because that's what you're supposed to do. And then everybody who's been telling her about how like cancer, AIDS, dick, death, hell, murder for like for her entire adult life turns around and goes, okay, let's get those grandkids on the go, man. Start putting out. And they expect her to just flip on a dime. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to be a giant husband whore right now. Fuck, I'm 7 ways from Sunday. No. Can you believe it? She's like, oh, don't put that thing there. You pee out of that thing, sir. But you can't say that. You can't do that. Yeah, exactly. I want to be a hoe, but Jesus, I can't do that. Good wives do these things. Good wives handle their man's needs. Good women do this. So they develop all these buffers. That's why you get the stupid things like the pillow forts. That's why you get 500 pillows on your bed. That's why you get this cult of the child shit. Well, we have a child now. Most parents stop sleeping together once they've had a child. It's evolution. They'll adopt whatever. They'll grab whatever off the shelves gets them to this place. Well, science, we're built to procreate. Here's the procreation, so we're done. Sorry, man. We're done. No more sex on this. Put the pillows in between you two. I still remember there was this one field report where the guy was talking about, it was literally a pillow fort. She put up a barrier. I couldn't even see her when you go to bed. It was fucking ridiculous. And this is why there's co-sleeping. Oh, kids, they'll be bad and wrong, and they'll turn into murder children if you don't sleep with them. Co-sleep with them until they're like 12. or something stupid like that. You gotta swaddle your teenage son. Dude, how do you even find a blanket that big to swaddle him? We'll figure it out. And so the husband gets like resentful because obviously it's like, hey, I'm in a marriage. I gave up my sexual strategy so that we can have sex together. Ultimately, we'll raise a family together. That's great. But, you want me to buy your dresses every month and I want you to buy my, you know the reference. You know what he's doing. And she's like, sounds good, man. I got these dresses, but I can't get what am I, Bill Clinton? No, man, we're not doing that. These dresses are too nice. I can't stain them. So the guy gets resentful. And look, if that was as bad as it got, that's whatever. There is a $1 trillion porn industry out there run by people with little hats to normalize it as a business practice. And if you know the story, you know what I'm talking about. If not, don't worry, but it does not matter. I'm not going to get into like Austrian painter questions here. I was like, that's not this cast. If that was the case, that'd be fine. There's just a bunch of, Pornhub out there. There's a bunch of people doing the Lord's work, and that's fine. Or OnlyFans chicks, $1 billion industry. And hey, you could have had this, but you gave your heart to the Lord. I'll take your libido and your money though. If it was just that would be fine. It's not ideal. It kind of puts men into a very plow horse category, but it's sustainable. I think that's a better word, sustainable. But here's the rub. That same guy, you know what? I would never cheat on my wife, but I understand. Or, how dare you look at porn? How dare you? It's that part. It's the control part. And that's that straw that broke the camel's back and the eye of the needle, finding the Lord. I don't know what the quote is. I'd have to go look it up. But you know the one about praying in the eye of the needle to get a rich man? That thing. But porn-based and the straw in the camel's back. Put all that together in a really good... See, I told you, I can't write a sentence as well as Royce. If I would, all that stuff would be in there, and this would be a fucking banger. Governor would make a quote of this, and you would be posting it on Twitter every time somebody said some dumb shit, and I'd be like, I like that one. Give me a copy. And he would email it to me, and then I would download it, and then I would make a meme out of it, and then I would be showing it like this every fucking weekend.
Boom, what's up, fam? Got some big news to share that unfortunately is not so good, so I'm gonna jump right into it. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry like in the corner like a little fucking girl in the fetal position.
So you see what I mean? There's an entire ecosystem out of that camel line that I can't make yet. But if you do, I'll give you credit. I'll pay you for it. But anyways, you got good imaginations. Just picture all of that shit I just said happening. Boom! And that's the part that gets these guys. I followed all the rules. I did what I was supposed to do. I joined the right church. I married the right girl. I sacrificed myself in all the ways you're supposed to sacrifice. And all that I ask is you leave me alone for 5 minutes a day while I go work on something in the den or in the office or in the bathroom or wherever it is, wherever the guy's man cave is. I don't know. No. Can't have that. Fuck that. You need to put that dick on lockdown. It's like that Reddit post about the girl who put a chastity belt on her man and he was talking about it and he was getting off on it, which is so weird because it was all about not getting off, but whatever. No Fap November's coming up, by the way. The month where guys decide to pretend they're married without being married to one of these horrid women. Yeah, I'm not married to a frigid bitch yet, but I'd like to pretend. For you, no, not November. 40-year-old ex-wife got in a fist fight with his new 20-something Navy girlfriend. Spoiler alert, the ex-wife lost. Well, yeah, if you're in your 40s and you haven't trained, like, you're not going to have the muscle memory. You already don't have, like, your reflexes will actually whittle down over years. And then the idea, they found this out on gaming. We're talking about this story here. My cousin's 40-year-old ex-wife got in a fist fight with a 20-something Navy girlfriend. Spoiler, the ex-wife lost. Fighting games. Most fighting games, they found people have something like a 250 millisecond reaction time. Quarter of a second. That's about how fast you can react to things. Some, like Korean children on Adderall, are faster. I think the fastest they found was like 150 milliseconds. That's your knee. That's your JDCR. That's your, who's the Street Fighter one? God damn it. Moment 34 or Moment 32? Hold on a second here. Video. It was an Evo video. Why can I not remember the guy's name? Oh, wait, not Rule 34. No, that's not it. That's not it. Evo Moment 37. Daigo. Guys like Daigo had like 180, 150 millisecond reaction time. So they have like they're like the Michael Phelps of fighting games. Anyways, so as people get older, that time drops to something like 300, 350. It's not a giant drop, but it is a drop. But the idea is with age comes more tactical experience. Where it comes from. This is where it comes from. Oh, come on, Sig. You really need to know it's still me? Yes, it's still me. One's that Google won't let me continue streaming unless I answer all the security questions. Which, fair enough, fair enough. Here, trust me, it's still me. It's not some random person. Thank you. Anywho. Really? It's still me, so I can't engage with chat until they do this stupid thing. Or maybe I can. I really don't like how YouTube is like preventing. We had a flow going, man. We had a flow going, and this thing ruined everything. I'm not impressed. There is no Google prompt, sir. All right, never mind. It's whatever. Why are you doing this to me? Exactly. All right, whatever. We're back. Yeah. So this is how it happens. You think it's just angry incels who are angry for no reason at all, and some of it is that because in the same way that the Troons have made us think that everybody is transgender in the world, which they're not. 99.99999 aren't. But now we got incels, the same thing. Fucking weird schizo sexist losers. There's 17 of them, and they're all online, and they all have branded accounts, and they're all the toaster fuckers of the manosphere. So they start yelling, and of course, as a average woman, you have your foil now. Hey, it's not my fault because this guy's an unattractive loser, so none of this is my fault. But that's the problem. For every one of those guys, there's 10,000 dudes jerking off in their bathroom to an OnlyFans chick right now because if their wife finds out, she'll leave them for embarrassing her by daring to have a libido. How dare you, sir? Why can't you be like Stanley, our neighbor, who just goes on Grindr and keeps it quiet? I could accept you being gay having sex, but with a woman online? This is cheating. And then those guys are like, all right, what the fuck do I do? And they get online, and most of the time it's just dudes bitching. In fact, this used to be the greatest lead generation for like the red pill was the dead bedroom subreddit. Really? Yeah. The dead bedroom subreddit, because it was a bunch of guys. They were so into feeling pity for themselves for not fucking that they would they invented a language. They did some Lord of the Rings world building. It was just wild. Oh, it's a low libido dead bedroom, high libido thing, and you're like, geez, I thought the red pill guys made all kinds of weird categorizations, which it wasn't really the red pill anyway. It was Vox Day and that whole Orthodox Christian beta males. That's where all that shit came from. The red pill guys, just everybody kind of got muddled together. Oh, thank you. By the way, red pill merch, get in on it. Red Morning. Store.ryanstone.com. It's actually on the storefront to the channel. You just look, and you're like, holy shit, look at that. It's right there. There's the mug. white and black, just in case you're into sucking on black coffee. You can get the black mug or the white one for the white. Use code PROMOTION for, I think it's $5 off. You're basically getting them at cost. I think it like, just buy the thing, I have to make 99 cents or it just won't let me do it. So yeah, it's way better than a $1 super chat, because then YouTube doesn't take their 30 cents. But then you too can sit here and enjoy the coffee and shit on whamen on a wonderful Saturday morning while you're sitting there running on the treadmill, nursing that hangover. Derek, by the way, with a €2 super chat. A girl telling you she is a lesbian asks, I don't know what you're trying to say with that word. apostrophe she test. I think you're trying to ask, is like she actually a lesbian or whatever? It's like, look, anytime you get some girl saying some instantly self-disqualifying thing, it's one of two situations. One, she's trying to reject you without pissing you off because she doesn't want to end up in somebody's trunk. Or two, she actually is rejecting you and is one of those things and is not interested. Or three, on the off chance that she's just saying it just to see if you'll react like a prick, and if you take it with a little bit of grace and pass a shit test, yeah, you might move forward. So you're better off just assuming it's that, assuming it's a shit test. Play with a little more flirtation, don't give a shit, bearable traitness of hating, that sort of stuff. And then if she doubles down on no, I'm actually not a fan of men at all, then you just have a pivot. You have a wingman. Dude, one of the best wingmen you will ever find is a lesbian. Because A, they hate men. So the boyfriend, oh fuck, she will, oh that guy's an ass. You don't want him. He's not right for you. And then she will wing for you. And if the other girl gives you one of those, well, I'm a lesbian, I'm not into guys. You're like, well, funny enough, I've got a friend right here. So A, you either hooked up a friend, or B, you called out a girl who's lying. She's like, all right, look, I'm not actually a lesbian, but you have me intrigued now. I didn't know you were so progressive with your views. You're like, oh, I understand. I may have a shirt that says I don't fuck fat chicks, but in my heart of hearts, I'm truly a feminist. You know what I mean? Roosh recommends watching Seinfeld every day to improve your game. I don't agree with anything Roosh said. I think Roosh had some useful stuff early on, but Roosh is Roosh's own worst enemy. I don't agree with anything he says. I don't find it useful. He has some stuff that Rolo likes to post, like his predictions about what the future is going to be like, and that's great. Doesn't really help me. Oh, in the future, every girl's going to be a 15-minute OnlyFan whore. Like, how does that help you get laid? Well, now you know every girl's a whore. You should have known that already. Assume they're all whores. Whatever your notch count is, hers is twice yours. Who are you talking about? Everyone. You meet this girl in church, I guarantee she sucked twice as many dicks as you have. And even if she hasn't, you have to assume she has. Because any of those insecurities you have about nut sucking are going to fester and come right out, and you have to deal with them. Yeah, well, I want a girl who's slept with less people than me. Well, like, good luck, sir. You're on a forum by a bunch of guys writing on how to get laid. How many women out there do you think have less experience than you? I'll give you a hint. There's some, but you really don't want to go down that road. Ask Chris Hansen. He'll tell you why. Yeah, assume but don't obsess. Assume but don't obsess. But this is like basic bitch stuff. This is what gets me. So you guys aren't new. You guys have been here a while. And it worries me that we're still talking about basic bitch red-pilled mental models, right? Like basic bitch stuff. Is this supposed to be like a pep rally? Hey guys, whamen, am I right? Is that what we're doing here? Because I'm not here to run a pep rally. We're not here doing a cargo cult. I'm not some demagogue. You're not a sycophant, and we don't need a parasocial relationship. You guys, you fucking know this. And I know you know this, because like in my Patreon, we always have a good group of guys, various stages, some single, some married, some divorced, all of them either getting laid or working on getting laid or working on dealing with the fallout of the consequences of the decisions they made surrounding getting laid. And they're not stupid. Like, say what you will. You could have the most clueless guy in there. He's not stupid. And so I always hate that when I see online and you get like, and I'm not even shitting on you. It's a general sentiment that's been bubbling for a while. So you just happen to be the guy that got me on this thing. Just happen to be that guy. Yeah. If you don't need, look, entertainment. I'm doing my best Dane Cook impression here, man. I am dressed in like almost a bowling shirt. I'm waving my arms around. I'm making high-pitched noises. And I use the cuss words when you're supposed to. It's like, I can't entertain you anymore without turning into one of them fucking fresh and fit retards with his stupid toupee and his bro, acting like he's from Ohio. He's from like the middle class suburbs in Ohio. Myron is about as ghetto as Bill Burr is blue collar. In other words, not at all. It's like The Departed. I bet you had a different accent. You're pretending to be ghetto on the weekends, aren't you? Yeah, you fucking snake, you. Yeah, I saw that thing. I don't know if that's true. I don't know, but I don't even care. Anyways, we're back to the married one. Yeah, and so you realize, like, okay, so there is a subset of women who absolutely hate sex. Maybe it's from her own doing. Maybe it's from environmental factors. Does it really matter, though? Hey, I met this great girl, and she's a good mom, and she wants kids, and she goes to the right church, and she dresses in a sundress, and she has a sun hat and a summer dress, and she took a bunch of pictures in a fucking wheat field. She's just great. There's just this one thing. What's that? What's that one thing? Well, she hates sex with a passion, and she wants to control my libido and put my balls into a jar. But other than that, she's the greatest person ever. It's like, I have this amazing race car. It's going to win the Indy 500. It's got the slickest paint job. It's got the best aerodynamics. These are the best tires money can buy. NASA developed them. SpaceX made them cheaper. It's missing an engine. How do I win the Indy 500? And you're just like, is this a real conversation? You know those ones where the guy has the way he's framed his own life is so absurd that you think he's fucking with you. You know, like, is this a real conversation? Are we actually having this discussion? Are you saying this because you want to see my reaction? Are you baiting me? Like, I always think, are you baiting me into saying something stupid that you can show off on your fucking Twitch stream? Is that where we're at? Are you pulling a Sneeko? Am I Charlie here where I have to admit, yeah, it's okay to cut your balls off with consent? Like, no, man. And then usually, and this is the part that it breaks my heart, man. I sit here and I'm like, yeah, it's great having bravado and talking tough and wearing Hawaiian shirts and looking awesome and having these glasses and having a full head of hair. But it breaks my heart because then the guy's like, no, I'm not fucking with you. And you realize, like, he shed his ego. And that's really hard for a guy to do, to actually admit the problem. Some guys will break down and cry. They will. And I'm not saying this like, oh, fucking idiots. It is, when they say zeroing out, they really do mean zeroing out. And sometimes to zero out a guy is just to have him articulate the condition that his life is in. And they bear it all out, and it's so, and then when they realize it's not even that they think he's a loser, or they think he's a coward, or he's not doing it right, or not working hard enough, that at least buys into his frame that he's in a horrible situation, but it's his fault, so I can live with that, the world makes sense. But it's that it's such an unbearably sad situation that the other person doesn't even believe it's possible. And not just any other person, the guy who talks about this shit for a living. There's a guy that does that. Oh yeah, he's a fucking idiot. You wouldn't like him. You wouldn't like him. He's Canadian. But yeah, to see that's just a worldview crushing event. So I keep my poker face on if I'm doing this seriously. But then you realize, hey, it's like, this is a real thing. And one of the greatest gifts I think I've gotten from you guys, not you specifically, well, maybe Jack, but not you guys, you know what I mean? Like the royal you, is to remember that these situations and these people, these worst case scenarios we talk about, they actually exist. There are women who will steal the valor of some woman in the Congo River Valley and her rectal fracture after giving birth and use that as an excuse to tell you to shut up about and he didn't even cheat on his wife. He just said, I understand. I can see how somebody would get there. I understand somebody's villain arc. He didn't agree with it. He didn't say he was on it. He just says, I can see it. He fogged it. And the girl lost their fucking mind. How dare you even consider the possibility that someday, perhaps, if everything happens exactly in this worst case scenario way, that you could, under some small circumstance, understand that a man could get here from there, even with all the stars having to align in the horrible dystopic way. How dare you not just sit there and think, I should step on this man's neck? What are you, a misogynist? These fucking guys. Actually, you know what? I kind of been making up. Maybe I am pretty good at putting a sentence together. I'm all right. I've been doing it for 5 years now. I should at least be able to get better at it. Yeah, so I remember, because this is what happens, man. A lot of guys who are on this side of the fence, they'll do all the talking points. Hypergamy, am I right, fellas? Whamen, am I right, fellas? Sex is great, yeah. Virgins with no tattoos and debt. That's cheering, by the way, not static. And then they're like, hey, I got a girlfriend now. And they're like, you know what? We need to save the West from degeneracy. They just kick that ladder out from under them. They're like, ah, fuck this. Hey, guys, just draw the fucking owl. How do you draw an owl? Oh, it's fine. Just put some circles in and then just finish drawing the owl. It's like, what the fuck? How does that help me? It's like, I just draw the fucking owl. It's fine. What are you, some kind of coward? And you're just like, dude, this guy used to be cool. What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. He had a worldview that was a seething, coping salve for not getting laid or finding a girlfriend or whatever. I've seen it a few times in Limitable Man, AJ Cortez, a lot of these guys. Roosh. Oh, everybody remembers, like, oh, pickup artist Roosh is so much fun, having fun, talking to chicks. He wrote about banging chicks in countries, got a girlfriend for a couple years. All of a sudden it was like, dude, the Islam will be the savior, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, holy, what the fuck is he talking about? And then she dumped him. And then he's like, that's it. I'm going to become schizo and join the church. Fuck this. And then you realize, like, these aren't worldviews. These are a man's reaction to not getting sex. It's like, oh, because it's not a if getting laid completely flips your worldview on its head, you don't have a worldview. You have a world wish. No, when I get a girlfriend, I'm going to lean right into it. I'm going to still shit on Whamen. But then as soon as somebody brings up her, I'll pretend she doesn't exist. Oh, she's just my girlfriend from Canada. It's just a sweater. All right, Silver Bishop. Another, no more heartfelt bish. I'm on to your fucking grift, sir. €5 super chat. Just make him show it again. Why would you do this to me, sir? Why would you do this to me? Anyways, his super chat. Have bravado. It's fun and chicks love it. Don't give a fuck is a blessing. Still be smart about your actions. Yeah. I think and a big part of it is, and it's going to really blow the mind of the Christian types here. It's like, Serenity Prayer. You guys heard of this? My mom used to have it. She had one of these carved wooden picture of folded hands in the praying motion, like, this shit. It was like this, and it had a little thing at the bottom of it, and they were all carved out of wood. She was raised by like a black Southern Baptist family, so they had a lot of this like very spiritual religious stuff all over the place, just trinkets. It's kind of like Catholic, except for less Greek statue and more like vaudeville blackface stuff. God give me the strength to change the things I can, the fortitude to weather the things or endure the things that I have to, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's basic. I'm paraphrasing, but that's it. And it's like, that's what it's here, man. Act like a cocky asshole when it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter. And it's impressive, and girls like it. And, dude, do you know how many people are insecure about their life and neurotic about this, that, and the other thing, and they watch a guy who can sit here and run his mouth for 2 hours in between internet outages, keep a sentence running on for a good 45 seconds about some meaningless meander and having a big smile on his face and completely confident about it. And it's, you just feed off the energy. It's like, oh my God, I wish I had this much excitement. And I wish I had this much like ability to run my mouth on the fucking front of a group of people. And it's like, oh, I just want a piece of that. Do you know how rare that is? Just for you guys. And some of you guys have some pretty good quips. I'm reading chat. Like, not all of you are lame. Some of you guys are actually pretty fucking funny. Some of you guys, I'm like, fuck, I wish he would write a book so I could steal it. Wish I could write a sentence like that. Then again, some of you guys just do absolute dog shit, so don't let it go to your head. But the point is, it's a rare skill, and people love it. At the same time, when I'm doing my taxes, I'm not acting like this. If I have to go to court, I'm not acting like this. Judge, bro. No. You know why? Because that's stupid. That guy whose wife doesn't fuck him and is the only thing that gets me up in the morning is knowing I have the power to put this man away for his entire life and put an injection into his arm. And by golly, today the wife told me she wouldn't fuck me if my dick was made out of cheddar cheese and gold. So I'm going to take it out on the first fucking dude protesting his parking ticket I can. And you walk in all, what's up, bro? Fucking up here. He's like, yeah, sentence that man to the chair. Don't try to out Alpha the judge, you stupid moron. I'm not writing a book, Ryan. I know that, Jack. That's why I'm shitting on you. You were supposed to be. You were starting it. You were getting good at it, too. But then anytime somebody asks, like, you know what this is? This is upstream Twitter. It's upstream Twitter. Jack's like, I'm going to build the best book you've ever read. Ever. And like 3 years later, he's like, oh, this book's going to be great. I've almost finished the setting. See, there's like a magic system that it still has some kinks to work out. And I got a castle. It's made out of a giant hunk of block of stone. And you're just like, Jack, write the fucking book. You're like, I'm not writing a book. Uh-huh. The book is still 5 years out. Write a shitty book. Who cares? At this point, everybody's writing shitty books. There's so many shitty books out there. It's like, what's one more? And the beauty of it is, if you become like charming and personable and affable enough, here's a deep dark secret about the book industry they don't want to tell you. Is that 90% of the books out there are fucking merch. They're a t-shirt. They're a coffee cup. They're a coloring book. There's words in it, sure, but they don't have to make sense. People don't even have to write them. I'm finding out a lot of people that I like and respect, are like having AI written books. Like, what the fuck? I don't need that voice from OK Computer's Radiohead album writing me a book. I already know what he thinks. He wants to cyberdyne my life like I'm going to take his advice on meeting whamen. Fuck that. No, in all fairness, they're like, just take it seriously, be professional, but we're back to the shitting on whamen. So yeah, the sex thing, it was wild. It blew my mind. Not because I'm surprised by it. I'm not surprised by it. Not in how the social media red meat shing happened. Like, I've seen that enough. I've been around the block. God knows I've seen enough. Like, fuck, the vasectomy tweet alone. Hey guys, the ones who are most successful are the ones that don't knock a girl up too early into their career. Well, fuck that guy. He wants men cutting their dicks off. It's like, I don't think that's what a vasectomy is. Yeah, dick cutter right there. It was one of the few times where, like, I didn't make fun of running Rolo up the flagpole, because they actually kind of did run him up the flagpole there. It wasn't his, woe is me, they running me up the flagpole. No, like, yeah, he got run. All the big brands. Steven Crowder's wife, you unmarried incel, why can't you be happily married like us? I married him in my childhood teens. 6 months later, she's like, fuck this dog shit, get out of here and give me half your shit, you fuck. Next day, she's tweeting, men don't value traditional relationships. You mean the one where the wife cleaned up the house and the guy earned money? That one? Mrs. Crowder? Well, that's weird. Why are you still using that name? Why not your maiden name? Because it would confuse the children. Yeah, because the children call you Mrs. Crowder. Don't they call you Mom? You could change your name to Whoopity Splash Brand Whore. They wouldn't fucking know. They don't. I didn't know my mom and my dad's first name until I was like 13. They have names? It's been Mom and Dad to me, and they didn't even tell me. One day I saw my dad's driver's license. I'm like, holy shit. Your name's Walter? It's crazy. My mom, who was somebody else, some friend of hers from way back in the day, started using it. I'm like, who the fuck is she talking about? Oh, that's my name. No shit. I thought you were Mom. Well, the kids will be confused if I'm not called Mrs. Crowder, and every time I have to fill out insurance papers, they'll ask, why is your name's different? It's like, bro, you're not the first chick that got divorced. People will understand. If you're a woman and have a bunch of kids that vaguely look like you with a different last name, they could put two and two together. Oh, deadbeat, huh? Porn and OnlyFans, huh? Didn't decide to not fuck anything and didn't like the pillow fort, did he? Well, here's your insurance, madam. Whoopity Splash Brand Whore. That's your brilliant writing, bro. It's the awkward clunkiness of it. That's the part I like. It's a mishmash of five different cliches from 40 years of too much fucking television mishmashed together in some clunky way that doesn't really fit, and it's just like it just feeds. Yeah, I don't know, it's a vibe. Anyways, so we got another 12 minutes to rant about how these fucking bitches. But I mean, okay, look, actionable. What do we do about this? And that's Red Pill has been always about that. Some guy in this situation. Well, what the fuck do I do? And 500 guys are sitting here. What the fuck do I do? And a lot of them will just mentally make up some stupid shit about dead bedrooms. And one guy's like, you know what? And this is like my favorite field report. My favorite male action plan I have ever seen was not even a red-pilled one. It was from the fucking dead bedrooms. It was this guy who just said, fuck it. If he was John Wick, his bitchy, frigid wife just killed his fucking dog. You know what I mean? It's like that. She called him on the phone. Hey, let's not get hasty here. He's like, hangs up the phone. He grabs a sledgehammer. Bam! Reaches into that box, pulls out some gold coins. In this case, though, the gold coins were his self-respect, his libido, and a fucking sense of purpose. And I was like, God damn. I could imagine some John Wick novel written about that. Oh, wait, they did. That was like the start of Breaking Bad. With that Amazon or eBay hand job, birthday hand job. The eBay birthday hand job of the manosphere. And the best example is from the dead bedrooms. And you know the funniest part? The exact same media circus that the stupid fucking, I can understand why they cheat. Like the same thing there. A bunch of chicks lost their fucking minds. A bunch of the moderators deleted it. Luckily, somebody managed to archive it on one of the many sites that exist just to archive red pill stuff so people can laugh about it forever in case the guy deletes his tweet out of embarrassment. So they were doing the Lord's work. It turns out some of our best archivists were our haters, which, awesome. Anyways, it was this guy. His wife had turned him down for the 766th time. And he finally was just like, boom, fuck it. You know what? Fuck this. He got up, he joined a gym, he went to the gym. He just stopped coming home. He would go to work, he'd go to the gym, he'd go out and drink and make some friends. He'd start a new hobby. He'd come home to sleep. Yeah, he would help. Like if the kids needed this or that, he would still do that. He was still a good father, but he just basically is like, this wife's dead to me. I don't care. And he was talking about his story. It was like 6 months of just didn't care. She was mad at him. He didn't care. He just left. He's yelling mid-sentence. You're such a fucking click. The fuck did he go? I'm trying to berate him here. Doesn't he know? His role is for me to shit on him. And at first she's mad at him and he's doing his thing. And he's just like, you know what? That anger was great because I had so much fun fishing and working out and all this shit. And then at 6 months, all of a sudden the wife starts like crying. He's like, I don't care. And he's left too on that one. So the crying didn't work. The yelling didn't work. And then one day, 7 months later, he's like, she just got really fucking horny. He's like, I don't understand. I was done. I'm checked out. He was like looking up divorce shit. Met a girl and she was like nice to him. The first girl that was nice to him in like a decade. And he's like, all of a sudden my wife starts acting like she gives a shit. What the fuck? And that was his post. It was kind of like, it wasn't even that he was getting a revenge fantasy. He wasn't reveling in it. He was confused. Why now? Why all of a sudden now does she give a shit about me? What the hell is this? She fucked pretty good too. What the hell happened? Oh, and they fucking pilloried that man. How dare you fuck your wife, sir, and enjoy it? How dare you make her hate her life to the point that she has sex with you and enjoys it? What are you, some kind of monster? Sir or ma'am? Are you even allowed to say anymore? Yeah, so I loved it, man. It was great. I wish there was a follow-up to it. I should have put that in the new book. I didn't, but I mean, it wasn't really applicable because it was so rudimentary. And it was funny because it was right around the time that the Married Red Pill guys were coming up with Dread. And that, like, what is in Dread, what is not in Dread. Guys were trying things and doing things, and other people were writing down when they saw patterns, and maybe we'll make some theories out of it. The Blue Pill Professor had just come up with his giant covert contract. I'm calling it Dread. Fuck me or fuck you, lady. Yeah, that's the worst approach ever, but it's the best we had with what we had at the time. And then somebody came out with like, dude, this guy doesn't know anything about us. He doesn't know anything about this, and he just ran Dread, and it is fucking amazing. And we all we're like, holy shit. Look at this. Convergent evidence, man. Somebody who didn't know anything. Not only that, he still loved like the feminine imperative, all the longhousing language. He still talked about things like that, but the actions were just muy bueno. They used to say in France. No, Blue Pill Professor is a different guy. His name was Dave. He's kind of like an MRA, a men's rights activist. Eventually went in there, and he a lot of LARPing. I think for him, he just liked having the friend group as opposed to actually wanting to be effective. And he didn't. It's a shitty litmus test, but like, do you even lift, bro? If you look at a guy and you're like, do you even lift? That's kind of like the first test. Like, if I can't trust that you've done that, how can I trust anything you've written on anything else? So that it's literally the bucket on your head scenario, right? Anyways. So yeah, all that from one fucking tweet. Where is it? My first is 8 weeks old. I can see why men cheat at this time. My wife completely ignored my existence for the first few weeks, and we had to have arguments to get her to even acknowledge me, not to mention be intimate. That's the biggest challenge. The baby's easy. And I called it right early too, right? Oh, fuck. I can already see it. Like, yesterday some married dude told stories about how they thought that cheating on their wives for not fucking them while taking care of a family was understandable. Women screeched and shamed until the guy deleted his account and tweets. Solution? Fuck after dinner. And it's like, now I got to put up with 3 weeks of women all crying about something. It was just bad. And I sent a couple goatsies out to some stupid feminist accounts. Cry, you big man, baby. All right, we're playing that route. That's fine. They didn't like that. They didn't like that one bit. But that's fine. Just do what you can. I think I'll delete that now. I don't need it. It's been there for long enough. Always delete it. Once the other person sees it, it's not there anymore. Delete that before Elon's like, bro, you can't put a giant gaping asshole on my fucking platform. Anyways. Derek, €2 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Women. Oh, wait. Did I already read that one? Oh, women acting as lesbian or asexual. That's what you're trying to say. Women acting as a lesbian or asexual is a cope, by the way. Yeah. I see what you're saying. The fluidity of female sexuality. Yeah, that's just. Again, there's no reason not to assume she's into you. If she's not into you, she'll let you know. Don't ever do that for her. Don't ever just assume she's not into you. Don't deny women the joy that they get from shutting a dude down and rejecting him. It's not your job. It's her job. Your job is to assume you're all that, because sometimes girls are stupid and they don't know that you're an insecure fucking gameless asshole. So if you don't tell them, they don't know, and then you guys can enjoy the lie together. So why not? Anyways, we got bills to pay. We got 3 books. We're gonna talk about work. In fact, even if you're a fan of the cast, and I don't know why you are, but what the hey? I like how this category just says whamen. 12600. Ads. I'm just going to call it ads. Did you know that I've written 3 books? Charles Bukowski, Jordan Peterson, Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio. God, that seems like an ad from like the 1940s. Hey, buy these cigarettes, sir. Like, you should never... By the way, marketing 101, never tell people to buy your product. It's like, it's an ask. It's like a manipulation thing. People automatically... Because everybody is a fucking autist on the internet. They're like, oh, I'll teach you a lesson, and they don't do it. So you always just show them the thing, show them the vibes, and then they have to want to buy it. You almost have to act like you, like, don't fucking buy this. They're like, oh, fuck you, I'll teach you a lesson. Give me 3 iPhones. It's a luxury thing. I don't know. It's like that girl that acts hard to get, makes her more attractive. Like, you always want girls to struggle a little bit before they acquiesce to your charms. If they give it up too easy, you're like, it's not fun that way. Same thing. Fuck Files. So that was, the idea was Bukowski's women talking about pretty like raunchy, shitty sex stories from his life and that. I liked that stuff. And I liked Neil Strauss's The Game, where it was like an expose of guys who systematize picking up women. And I had that in my life, so I was like, oh, it's kind of neat. You know, better learn to fuck because you're sailing so much, you can't just wing it. And then Jordan Peterson with his 12 rules for life. Let a cat play with a skateboard. And you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with my life? My room is clean. What's next? Buy a really cool blazer. Pull your inner Dawn cherry out. Like, all right, fair enough. So I'm like, dude, why don't I just take 12 rules for life? And I'll give 3 extra rules. You know, it's like 6-minute abs. Well, if I get them in 4 minutes, then you get the 2 minutes for free. And you're like, fuck, that's not bad. So I take that, and then I take the raunchiness of Bukowski's women, and then I take the expose pickup artist stuff of the game, and I try to synthesize it into like a semi-fiction, semi-non-fiction book. Or well, it's not even really fiction. It's more of like, because like the stories are all real. Some of the details got changed just for clarity, or because like there's gaps in between, but like for the story, it's better if you put them beside each other. But 95% of everything there happened exactly as it happened. Even the names are pretty much the same. That was the first one. It's my least favorite out of all the books. It is, and not because it's the worst, just because I hated them. I have hated it for longer. I've transformed. I'm charming. I'm good looking and in shape, but bored. I need something to do next. Another challenge to conquer. Please give it to me. Then I was like, you know what? All right, I got a handle on what to do with books now. The red pill stuff's disappearing. And that's what I was noticing a lot of times when I was dealing with Patreon or writing my blog, is that I would go back and look for something that I remember, and it's gone. Chateau Artiste, gone. Dalrock, gone. There's archives sometimes, most of the time, but like I'm like, dude, this stuff's disappearing. Like I should probably, like, it would be great. I would hate, because I know there was probably some like pickup artist stuff in the 90s that was like extremely valuable, and that's gone now because I've never found any of it. But a lot of people like Rollo and the old heads talk about it like, oh, it's just as good as it was now. And I'm like, well, fuck. Why have to wait 20 years to reinvent the wheel every 20 years on this stuff? Why not mark some of this stuff down for posterity? And so I looked through all of the red pill and the married red pill and like, what are the big things, the big value adds that came out of it? There was like 3 things. There was the game side of things. And that's like your human sock puppet bitch management guide, how to get laid like a warlord, all that stuff, how to get laid. And I'm like, you know what? There's hundreds of books on that. Last thing you need is that. But the ones that got me were the ideas of frame and dread, because those are the 2 things that were red pilled specific. Because even feminists have a how to get laid guide for some fucking reason. How to get laid. Be weak. Don't remind her of her dad. And and then like sit in the Lincoln chair and just let it happen. You know, whatever. And so I took all of the old red pilled stuff and I kind of condensed 10,000 posts and 1 million words into a book. And it was originally supposed to be on dread. Problem was that book got really fucking big. And I was like, dude, it's like 140,000 words. This is stupid. So I talked with a great editor I know, Nick August. He's pretty good. He pieces on stumps. You'd like him. And he's like, yeah, it's after about 80, 90,000 words, people like the book is too long. You can't keep the concept of the book in your head. So you just like split it up. So I'm like, okay, so what's the good thing there? Frame, dread. And then frame came out after. So I'm like, all right, so I segmented the book. I took the one concept of frame, which if you've read dread, there's a few concepts in there. There's the scoreboard. There's the dysfunctional captains, the 4 types of dysfunctional captains. And these aren't listicles, even though they're kind of labeled like one, and I tried not to put them in there. And then there was originally the 12 steps of dread. So those are really the concepts. The scoreboard is the idea of developing frame. You know, get out of your wife's frame, develop your own sense of identity, build your frame, build your own positive male identity and mental point of origin, and then pull your wife into your frame. And that's kind of like the advanced concept of game. How do you do game when it's not just about parlor tricks? Well, this is what fucking frame is. And so that middle part, build your own frame. The whole book is just developed on that part, and that's frame. And it's funny because like some of the old guys, they came up with the idea of it as a tetrahedron. There's an emotional pillar, there's an intellectual pillar, and there's a physical pillar. And if you look, everything in the married red pill and in the red pill could kind of fit neatly into one of those 3 silos. You know, the working out, the talk about testosterone, all that shit, dressing well, physical stuff. It's all physical. And so you have your physical things. You get that shit sorted out. And then the emotional side, like what does it between sexual dynamics. That's a lot of the Rolo stuff, is the emotional side, right? Like the safety net, or why is it when a girl cries we feel really bad and want to do things? All these things that are like our meat bag limitations. And so that's the emotional pillar. And then the intellectual pillar. That's like, how do you handle divorce? That's all the how-to guide stuff. And then you realize you put all these things together and they give you enough of a base that you can develop a vision. Because without that, you get fucking roosh. You know the one where it's like, I'm going to join the church of not getting laid and rant into my microphone? Or you're going to be Pat Stedman, like, I'm going to storm the Capitol and get arrested and my family's going to miss me for a good couple years and shit. But hopefully Trump, you know? Dick is a poser. He only pretends to be hard. Yeah. And so you realize you put all of these things together and those give you a strong enough grounded base in order to build your vision. And what's your vision? Your vision is, what do you want? It's mental point of origin. It's the thing that everybody in the red pill aspires to. And there's a reason why nobody ever gets there. They never get there because, lo and behold, most people don't put in the work. But I don't want to say put in the work, because then that's some marketing slogan to fill your head with nonsense. And I'm like, I'm not trying to fill you with nonsense. I'm not trying to fill you with anything. I'm trying to fill me with a mortgage payment. And I want to try to fill you with enough value so that you don't think, fuck that guy's mortgage. It's a fairly... Yeah, there's an edamame recipe in Dread because every man deserves a piece of that pie. Well, that's creative license. Like the edamame recipe. First off, I loved it because there's a concept in there of, you know what? Let's do the fucking ad.
From the author and content creator that brought you the heartfelt, the F trophies for clout, the 6-foot-tall Tate, and the not funniest member of Rule Zero, Volume 2, Dread.
There it is. The fuck was I just talking about? Filling you up. Oh, yeah. Fuck, I really should have done this before I put the fucking ad on. Now I'm done. I'll take Swami Bob every day of the week. Yeah. Oh, the edamame recipes. Right. So there was an economic concept there. It was like my little Clary moment where I talk about soybeans. The idea that once something turns into a commodity, and in this day and age, being a man is a commodity good. Very, very, very disposable, interchangeable. One man's just as good as the next. We're all basically the same. Well, every father's important. Yeah, but a girl will get a new one in 6 months after she leaves your ass, so don't worry about it. And you're paying for the privilege. So how do people get around this commodity thing? And then the idea was branding, right? You don't want to have just soya beans because they're $10 a bushel. But you make edamame beans, a little bit of salt, a little recipe there. All of a sudden now, 2 cents of edamame beans are worth $10 on a plate. Or in Canada, $100 a plate. But you get what I'm saying? And so that's kind of the same attitude you had towards this. Plus the idea that soya beans... the idea of estrogen, like there's that undercurrent there of like using feminized vegetables to describe a masculine way forward. I just enjoy the juxtaposition. And so for me, I like that I would put the edamame recipe at the beginning of the book so that you're like, what the fuck is this doing in here? And then as you read the book, you get to the edamame section, you get past it. And then there's a second recipe at the end and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And they're good. I've actually made both of them. They're actually pretty good. So you understand why things are here. And it kind of, that's one of the themes that goes throughout the book is learning to think for yourself. Because I can't just tell you what to do. That's stupid. That's demagogue shit. I'm not that guy. But if you show guys examples of how guys process things, the concepts we learn from it, and then you put yourself together, because not all of them are going to be important to everybody at all times. Out of the entire book, if you take a snapshot of your life right now, maybe 30% of it will be applicable to you, of which, like, as much of it as possible will be stuff that you can directly adopt. But there's going to be some things that for whatever reason, either you don't want to, it's not congruent with the goal you're trying to achieve, or it's wrong, or it's wrong for you. It's not my place to tell you that this is the codified canon. You have to do this. You need to decide for yourself if any of this stuff is applicable to you, and if so, in what way. Because that's a personal responsibility thing. Because like that's what a lot of guys used to do. They'd get advice on what to do, and there's a lot of conflicting and incongruent and contradictory stuff to talk about in the red pill. And then the stupid guys, the alpha as wolves, would like do all of it. I don't get it. I'm doing this, but not this and not this, and nothing's working. It's all your guys' fault. It's like, no, you fucking idiot. Why are you just listening and adopting everything without any thought on your own? You know what I mean? So yeah, And that's the point of that one. Anyway, so that's it. Who's hosting Rule Zero today? We're gonna go have some fun with those guys. Let me see if I can find somebody. Jesus Christ. So let's fix the descriptors. We'll put the timestamps in here. I don't know what the blank space is in here. I'm probably gonna have to come in afterwards and delete it. Although I don't know if anybody views these things. I should really check the metrics. I've never checked to see how these things get views after the episode airs. I should. That seems like a very YouTube-y thing to do, but you know, here we are. Okay, who's who in the hosting? Media this, media that, Red Pill that, Toot Shield, Nick August. Fuck, I don't know. Who's hosting? True Shield Wall, Tyranny, Uncle Nick fixes flicks. Reclaim. Oh, there it is. Paul's doing it. How to reclaim masculinity. Who we taking it back from? That's the question. Who's got the man balls now, sir? So I'll pop by on that one. We'll have some fun together. And then I got to go do some sociable things with some sociable people. Canadian Thanksgiving is this weekend, I think. So that'll be good. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Let's have some fun. I'm going to make fun of one or two more people. Actually, you know what? Erudite has been making me laugh lately. Let's give her another one. Fuck that.
Here's a story of a cocky lady who thought her gold standard was legit. Then finally when she got an actual challenge, it all went to shit.
I've talked to Ryan Stone once. I'm pretty sure the whole conversation I pushed him like pretty hard.
What was hard, Ariel?
The therapist will essentially give them SSRIs, which I think the sexual effects that SSRIs have on the body, right?
Some. There's tons of like MAOs and like tricyclics that you're talking about, like the type of SSRIs that used to be given to pedophiles. We don't give those to men. We don't give those to men. We don't give those to men. But he's not as informed as like I think he would like to be. Yeah.
Whamen.
We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
Whamen!
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Fuck. It's been a wild couple years, hasn't it? Who'd have thunk? Dude, you had some feminists calling you a cult leader? It's like, a little bit. You had some, like, little wiry dominatrix feminist calling you an incel? It's like, yeah. You had some clout-chasing chick that blew Destiny for coke calling you retarded? Yeah. You had Tate call you a man? Or not a man? Not a real man? It's like, I don't know. What did you do about it? I played some Minecraft. All right, anyways, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Let's take a break. Let's grab some breakfast. Half an hour. We'll be on Paul's channel. I got the redirect there. You don't have to do anything. Just sit back. Grab your coffee. Place your order for the Ryan Stone Red Morning Cup. Have a sip of it. Pour some caffeine into it. Liquid caffeine. It's great. Put on your best Hawaiian shirt. Grab some wooden monk beads. Put them on your thing. Grab your greatest yellow tinted sunglasses, put them on, get a big smile on your face, and then you can watch the 5 or 6 of us shitting on whamen. Play some SimCity. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then we'll be right there. And you guys don't have to do a thing. Just don't touch that dial. The fuck is he? What's a dial? In the 80s, TVs used to have a dial on them. And there was only 13 channels. The 13th one was mostly static, but if you wanted to play Nintendo, you had to put it on channel 3. Except for apparently if you were in Minneapolis, I guess you had to use channel 2. I don't know how it works. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Where's my stupid fucking... Oh, you know what? Let's do some... Get on Orion 2. Rambo 3's coming out soon, but for now, just enjoy King of the Kickboxers, I Come in Peace, Wrath of Khan. Fuck this.
Now, Mr. Spock.
Do you love science fiction but hate how it's not masculine enough? Do you yearn for those simple, timeless stories? Stories that resonate with something deep in your soul.
What the
Stories, perfectly told. A movie that doesn't have to keep you your attention with giant explosions, sarcastic banter, gratuitous nudity for no reason other than it's awesome. A movie that will make you tear up so much that you have to pretend it's lame and laugh so that your friends don't think you are a sissy. Well, I have the movie for you. We bring you the greatest movie that aged like a fine Romulan ale. It's the movie where Moby Dick meets Charles Dickens, meets the duelists, meets a science fiction western, meets our own awareness of our mortality. In Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Do you like karate? Do you like intense action, foreign lands? Do you like revenge? Do you like gratuitous nudity for no reason other than it's awesome? Have you ever watched a movie then decided you needed to beat your brother's ass after watching it? Well, we have the film for you. A movie so action-packed and emotionally resonant that it hits harder than your parents' funeral.
This is for the life you stole from me, you bastard!
Inspired by the best parts of a dozen different action movies and the timeless grace of the Chinese opera, the breakout role of international film star and Taibo master Billy Blanks, I bring you the king of the kickboxers, 1990.
It's pure, unadulterated,
79T 2458 Learning Corp, Little Red Riding Hood, take one.